Hi there guys, welcome to part 2 of the tuning video. Now between the last video and this one, all I've been doing is changing my position on the knee. Like I said in the previous video, adjusting the hammer spring to different points on the knee curve will give us different readings. So what I did was I started at the very top of the knee, worked my way down and just recorded the results all the way down till it was way lower than the feet per second that I wanted. At this point I then worked back up and we landed about right at the top of the knee. Our average feet per second comes out to about 780 feet per second. So a little higher than the target we were going for, but not a problem. Now when I'm tuning, I normally do one turn of the Allen key in the hammer spring adjuster, do a couple dry fires, then do a magazine over the chronograph, see what it's reading like, then repeat that process all the way down until I was about at 750 feet per second. I'm not really interested in anything lower than 750 feet per second, so I stopped my testing there. Then I worked my way back up again and found the point that was most consistent. Now I didn't spend hours on this, as I know from experience that the rifle takes a little while to settle down. We've done quite a bit of adjustment in both the regulator and the hammer spring, and them changes all need time to settle down. So what I normally do is just a find point on the curve where I'm happy and then do the final adjustments when I'm at the range. Okay then, so the shot string you're about to see isn't anything phenomenal, but it's a very good starting point so that we can go forward in the shooting. Okay then guys, I think I'm about happy with the tune. So the last thing to do is put a magazine over the chrono and see what the extreme spread of a magazine is. Right, so that's an entire magazine over the chrono. You saw there a couple times, you heard the shot, but you didn't see this register. I believe that means that it's a duplicate reading. At the moment I've got this set up in continuous mode where it just keeps reading the next shot over and over and over again. There is a memory function, however the memory on this one's full and I can't remember how to change it, and honestly I can't be bothered. But the duplicate readings seem to occupy two spaces in the memory, so I'm guessing that when it doesn't read or the reading stays the same, it means it's a duplicate reading. So we had, I think, one high one and maybe one or two low ones, although over 21 shots I believe that could just be the pellets. They're straight out the tin, unweighed, unsalted. I just chucked them in the magazine, so I'm very happy with that. I think if we were to take out the higher and low one, we would probably be a single digit spread, which over 20 shots I'm over the moon with. Right, so I'm going to take the rifle down the range tomorrow, so I don't know if in this one or the next video, but I'll attach some shooting results with this video. Okay then, that's the hammer spring setting I settled on. As you saw there, the extreme spread was pretty good enough for a starting point anyway. I've found that it's best just to sort of pick a point where it's nice and consistent, then go to the range and do some shooting and the final adjustment up and down. And I'll show you some groups in a minute. But that data there, the extreme spread was 14, which isn't fantastic to be honest, although we did have one high one and one low one. The high one was 787 and the low one was 773. If we took those two unique shots out of the data, we end up with a spread of 8. And over the span of 22 pellets, it is likely that we will see one or two light or heavy pellets. But for that exercise, we left them in. Okay, with that all out of the way, I'll show you some footage I got when I went down Pete's airgun farm at the weekend. Okay then guys, so this is me set up at Pete's, and we're in the 50-yard range, and that's the target on the left hand side of the wall. If you're familiar with Pete's airgun farm, you'll know which range I'm in. So I've spent the day pellet testing and generally tweaking the rifle, and I think I've got it to a point where I'm happy now. The pellets are going near each other and a few are even going through the same hole. Now before you start commenting, yes, I am joking. The first 3 groups are just an illustration of what difference a pellet choice can make. Them 3 groups were done with JSB 450 head size pellets, and the 2 underneath were done with 453 pellets. Both JSB exacts and both straight out the tin. I just wanted to illustrate what a dramatic difference even something as simple as pellet choice makes. So the top 3 groups are quite spaced apart, quite random, whereas the bottom 2 are well under a 5p piece. While we're shooting the second card, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the order in which I done things. So when we got to the range, I got out my selection of pellets and just started testing them at 50 yards. I only really shoot at 50 yards, so that's all I test the pellets at. And I just done a magazine or 2 with each tin. Then I made a little short list of the pellets that were best in the rifle. So I ended up with about 5 tins of pellets that I could use, and from them 5 tins of pellets I found 2 that stood out from the rest: JSB heavies and JSB 453s. Once I identified them as the best pellets, I dropped the action out the stock and gave the hammer spring a little tweak. What I did was go up and down with the hammer spring half a turn at a time, do a few mags to see if I've made it better or worse, and then repeat the process till I found the spot where it worked best. I tested it with the JSB Exact 453s first, got it to where I was happy, then tried the heavies in it. The heavies still was grouping really well, so I left the hammer spring where it was, and I'm really happy with the results. The first 4 groups were 5-shot groups using the JSB Exact 453s, and then for the last group I ran out of pellets in the magazine, so I just used the other magazine I had loaded with pellets that didn't work so well, to again illustrate the difference. Okay then, and here are the targets. This is the first one we shot, and these 3 groups here were using pellets that didn't really work with the rifle. And then down the bottom here, what I've done is I've just drawn around a 5p piece. For those of you who don't know, the diameter of a 5p piece is 18mm, and all 5 of them shots were well within a 5p piece. Now this is obviously with 177 pellets, and if we take our calipers here, on this one we got a roughly 14mm edge to edge group, so adjusted for centre to centre that's about a 10mm or 9.5mm group. And then this one over here is even smaller, about 11.5 edge to edge on this one, and results like that I'm well happy with. And then this is the second target we shot. Again, all groups were under a 5p piece. We did have one flyer here, which I was a little unhappy about, but when you're not weighing or sorting the pellets, flyers like that are going to happen. All these groups were done last thing in the day. I'd been shooting the rifle all day, and I must have put at least 1,000 pellets through it when I was pellet testing. As a result of that, I did start to see a few more flyers than I would like. Typically, when you start seeing the pellets start spreading out across your group, it does mean that the barrel needs a clean. Okay then guys, that's going to about do it for this one. So, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.